Thank you, Dr. Timmer. It is said that Father knows best. And so our final tribute will come from the gentleman who should know best. Ladies and gentlemen, an outstanding educator, businessman, outstanding citizen, Mr. Mansfield Brown.
I don't know very much about Malcolm, the doctor, except that when I became ill 18 years ago, I was in a hospital in New Hampshire. I had a kidney removed in New York. I didn't want Malcolm to know how badly I was off, so I didn't do it in Hopkins. And we have a place in Vermont about 15 minutes away from Mary Hitchcock. And I had some complications. I went up there to recuperate, had some complications. Malcolm came up. I was rushed to Mary Hitchcock Hospital, which is a part of the Leahy Group now. And we had 5 doctors who didn't know what was wrong with me. Malcolm came up, took a look, asked me a few questions, and he said, check yourself out of this hospital, Daddy, because they're all wrong. I've got it. They're wrong. I've got it right, and I'll fix it if you go over to the condo. To be quite honest with you, it was a long stretch for me to. It was a long stretch, and I said, well, okay, and here I am. Now that's all I know about him as a doctor. But I'm going to tell you something that I do know about. I know a lot about him as a person, as a young man. When he was growing up in Bermuda, and that's what I'm going to tell you about. Malcolm, the individual, he went to Toddler Garden Nursery School, which was run by Mrs. Brangman down in Smith's Parish. And I think she had a tremendous impact on him in terms of his early start in education and his spiritual development. He's named after two ministers, 2 AME ministers. One of them here you've heard about, his uncle, Reverend Malcolm Eve. That's where he got the name Malcolm. And Vernon comes from the late Bishop Vernon Byrd, who married his parents. He officiated in our marriage, and so that's how he got the name Malcolm Vernon. And I can say that they had a tremendous impact on him spiritually. I know I didn't, but they did. As I go back to in our relationship and history, I remember that the first time we went abroad as a family, he was 3 years old, and we went to Expo 67, which has been regarded as one of the, if not the best world festivals, world exhibitions. And he was on my shoulders. We took him around, and it was a fantastic bonding experience. And he remembers some of that Expo 67 up to this day, and surprises me all the time when we talk about it. The other thing that I recall about Malcolm growing up, a lot of people don't know, but he was an excellent sportsman. He played football, cricket, golf, tennis, sailing. I remember he got his white sail and other qualifications in sailing, and he sailed in the dinghy club, yacht club races. Then after he left Bermuda, before he left Bermuda, he went to work for the Bermuda Telephone Company in the summers and became a telephone technician. He could do anything with the telephone. He knew how to put them in, he knew how to fix them. And up to this day, I see some of the people who taught him, and they still remember what he was like. I would have been extremely proud of Malcolm, as proud as I am today, if he had gone into the telephone business. It didn't matter what he went into. But we sent him off to Japan. Actually, I shouldn't say we sent him. I can't remember the details of how he went to Japan, but he was a Rotary exchange student, and the district governor in Rotary asked me whether I would agree to their sending him to Japan, and I think he wanted to go to Japan. I said, no problem, let him go. And in the last 6 months before he went to Japan, my sister provided him with a Japanese course, and Malcolm stopped studying for his O-levels and GCEs and worked steadily and every day, all day, on the Japanese. And I got a little worried. I said, Malcolm, you're doing something like 12 or 13 GCEs. I think it was 12 GCEs. And I don't want you to fail them. You're just spending all this time on Japanese. He said to me, Daddy, don't worry about a thing. I got it covered. If I don't study hard every day, I might get a B or two in JCEs, but I don't want to go over in Japan and not be able to say anything to anybody. So I'm going to learn my Japanese. Cut a long story short, on the Japanese side, I remember also that he telephoned us, reverse charges, of course, telephoned us from Tokyo one day, and he said, Daddy, guess what? I said, what? He said, they don't know, talking about the Japanese, they don't know I'm not Japanese if they're not looking at me. So I said, go ahead, tell me a little bit more. I'm counting the dollars now on this telephone call from Tokyo. And he said, well, I was going on my way to my judo club. Incidentally, he has a black belt in judo, so don't mess with him. I don't mess with him. Anyway, he said, I was walking along the street, and I was a little bit late to my judo lessons. So I asked a vegetable vendor who had his back to me if he could tell me the shortcut to my judo club. And without turning around, the Japanese vegetable vendor said, why do you want to go to that judo club? It's for foreigners. I was extremely proud of Malcolm at that day, very proud indeed. And since that time, on the Japanese front, he and I go to the British Open Golf, called the Open, every year. And I remember a few years ago, we were at Birkdale, which we played last year, remember? We were at Birkdale, and there was a Japanese golfer in the lead in the first 9 holes. So we all went we were following this chap. And of course, there were a lot of Japanese speaking people around, and Malcolm began to talk to them in Japanese, and they were looking at each other to see who was talking. His facility in Japanese is absolutely amazing, no accent, and as he says, they can't tell that he's not Japanese unless they're looking at him. And he gives lectures in Japan, in medicine, in Japanese, which is exciting. What I can tell you about Malcolm is Malcolm as a person. He is excessively keen on family. I'm not talking just about his sisters, his parents. I'm talking about his entire family, uncles, aunts, cousins, and all of Bermuda, which he considers to be family. And that is something which really is amazing, and something which I'm very pleased about and very proud of. I remember one time when I was having my health challenges, I've had a few of those, I managed to survive, and he said to me one day, I was suffering that time from atrial fibrillation, and I'd had a stroke. And he said, well, Dad, if you come up here to live with me, I think I'd be able, you would get very, very good treatment. I could probably keep you going for quite a while. I didn't buy that one either. I said, you know, we got telephones and computers and all kinds of stuff like that. So, but I said, no, you're not going to sell that one to me. But generally speaking, I can say that I'm proud of Malcolm as a person who is honest, selfless, kind, very, very hardworking. And I think those are the qualities which I admire most. The doctor part, those technical skills, as I say, they're beyond me. Maybe the other doctors in this room might know, and Dr. Brown and Tomo and so forth. But I can tell you without shadow of doubt that Malcolm is a really fine person. He's courageous, he is kind, and he is a community builder. And I'm very proud of you, Malcolm.
Thank you.